for whatever it is.
The 3 for $5.
When I had it, it went. Remember that? Actually, please.
Okay.
Glove jacket, please. Just put your name on the.
All
top.
right.
And then,
What's this, 3 for 5?
3 for $5, yeah.
I'm glad.
With 3.
Oh, yeah.
And then just, you don't even have to. put this.
We do? I hope. We don't. My name is.
Yeah, it's the name
Form.
and the back.
Right.
You ready, Jared?
I think we are.
Hopefully this meeting will be a little shorter than the last time I saw you.
We are recording, now we're live.
Okay, thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Borough Park Summit Council meeting, February 1st, 2023. In attendance, we have Mr. Beston.
Here.
Ms. Lopez. Ms. Simrel.
Present.
Solicitor Hayes. Here. Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here.
Ms. Kehoe.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins.
Here.
Mr. Shields.
Here.
And Chief Yarn.
Here.
We'll stand for a moment of meditation and we'll have our chief lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance.
Allegiance, flag
And
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands.
Thank you. And do we have someone here from the Rotary?
We do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I messed up. You're first. Yeah,
No problem.
I remembered it wrong when it came out there.
I'm sorry, I only printed 6, so these are just some things that I want you guys to look at. Okay. So I apologize.
We can share.
There's only 6 of us
Yeah.
here, actually, Dave's not here.
You can.
Well, Harry did 7.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Very
Yes,
sure.
thank
Anybody in that, sir?
Yeah.
My name is Beth Couchy. I'm co-chair of the beautification committee for the Rotary Club of the Abingtons. Melissa Zbarsky is my co-chair. The Rotary has been talking about doing the planters and the trash bins for ever. So I decided I'm sick of listening to it. I just gonna do it. The old ones were designed by a Rotary architect and were built by Rotary members. There's no commercially available combinations of trash bins and planters like we have out front. And there are no plans. Believe me, I've been looking at garbages for about 3 months. There's nothing that even comes similar because we would like to have at least plans because we no longer have plans for the old one. So we have to literally go back to the drawing board and honestly, when these were built and put in 30 years ago, they were some of the best in the area. Because they were weather resistant and but now they're just falling apart and we like to face them. The biggest obstacle we have is any kind of plants that we put in or planters. They need bi-weekly watering during the summer, which requires gallons of water that the members who have been maintaining these have been carrying by hand from their car to the planters. And it's not something we could continue. We don't have the manpower and the members that are doing it are older and also have grandchildren out of state, so they travel a lot, so they're not around. And there's really nobody else willing or physically able to do it. So what we need is for the borough to commit to watering the plants once we put them in. We could still do the plants and put them in, but without a commitment from the borough to water the plants on a regular basis, then we simply can't maintain them properly and we don't want dead plants. So that's something you're gonna have to decide and commit to. We are currently planning of coordinating the planters we have with the garbages like we did before. And we have in on the back sheet is a map Here, all the garbages, the planters are in red. And the garbages are in blue. There are 7 planters and 7 garbages. The person that does maintain these would like to put it down to 4 planters, maybe bigger ones. And put them more strategically by sunlight. Looking down, we have 7, as I mentioned. The ones that we would like to keep are the ones that are the park by the post office. We'd like to put one up in Citizens Park, so as you come into Clark Summit, there's one right there. And again, one right in the corner of in front of Create's office, right there, is where it's physically prominent. Now, we'd like some feedback to you. Do you want, how many garbages do you want? We prefer to have 4 planters, but you know, if you have somewhere that you'd like a planter, what we need is feedback from you. Do you want where they are now, the trash bins? How many do you want? Do you want 7 or do you want more? Or do you want, you know, what do you need? And the borough would have to be responsible for the removal of the old ones because we have no manpower and we have no vehicles or anything. There's just, you know, women like me who can't, I don't own a truck. So
We can get rid of the old ones. And our DPW, it's, if there's not somebody looking over their shoulder and making sure that they're exactly on time every 2 weeks, they can water them. We do have a tanker that we put on a trailer and bring around. So just so long as they can fit it in their schedule, they can make sure that the plants get watered. So I wouldn't worry about
Okay.
either of those problems.
Is it 2 or 3 times a week or
No, she's
During
doing
the
every
summer.
2 weeks,
every 2 weeks?
No, bi-weekly.
5.
so twice a week.
Twice a week. So if, especially if it's hot outside in the summer, obviously in the winter, we usually put some sort of greenery in there that doesn't need watering. But if you get a hot day in August, they're gonna, well, we're working with we're sort of negotiating the design and talk to Corky's. And you need at least 8 inches of dirt for them to be, you know, hold enough moisture so that the plants don't die easily and maybe cut back in the water. If you notice, the ones that we have here are much smaller and they require much more frequent watering, and they're driving the 2 Rotary members who do that kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So we'd like to actually continue with the planters like that and but have bigger ones that have more depth.
Yeah.
We also talked about maybe having a planter on top. Right now, we're in the design stage. Now, the ones that we have now, the side doors are a problem. They don't stay open, they slide open, and the hinges sag, so they're a problem. So we want to redesign that, and we spoke to AZEC, who might be interested in providing us with the material for these. And they're plastic and they're heavier. So hinges won't work, though they just won't last. I've talked to an architect and builders. So that means we have to pull them up the garbage from the top. Just have a square with the garbage set into them. So you have to talk to see if that's okay with them. And we'd like to put a roof on them, but again, it's up to you guys. If you think it's gonna be too difficult for your DPW workers to lift them out, or that's something that we need some input from you.
That's gonna be an issue because it's not a DPW, it's the trash hauler.
Trash hauler.
And we have a hard enough time getting them to remember to pick up those darn things. If it's
Yeah.
difficult, they're gonna avoid it whenever possible.
Mhm.
So I would say, no, if they have to pull it out, don't put a top
Put a
on
roof
it.
on it.
Yeah, I would also just want to say too, from my perspective, every one of those trash containers that are out there are filled every week.
Mhm.
So I don't think we can do less. If you threw a few more out there, I don't think there'd be any objections.
Yeah, the problem with the trash receptacles is they're not evenly, like the one in front of Northeast Highland Tag gets full quickly. Everybody,
Yes.
they go and they empty their cars and they throw everything in. The one near State Street and there's another one that gets full, but there's 3 of them
In
that
front
are,
of the jewelry store.
that one,
Yeah, Dave Banks Jewelry, he says it's always full.
okay.
He says that the tenants are putting their trash in there.
Yeah.
No reason why they can't.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, So I don't know if you want bags in the garbages or even what size garbages you want, so. I just came to see if you guys are willing to commit to the watering, which is important, and which you said you could. And if you have any feedback or input of what you're looking for.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you very much to you and Ms. Ravarski for being involved with this in the Rotary Club. I think it's a great idea to do flowers. We have a great downtown. It's important to have nice things like this. So if we can do it, I think we should water the flowers. I know the DPW is stretched a little thin, but that's something.
It's just, like I said, if there's somebody saying we need you to go out there and water them today, and the guys are in the middle of something, we can't drop installing a sewer system or a storm line to go and water them. But yes, I can say that if you allow them to work as fitted in their schedule whenever they can, they will be happy to pick it up.
Oh, wonderful. That's good to know. So I can report back to that. And is there anything else that you guys?
Trash is used a lot. I mean, they use a lot of that. So
Let me ask you this, though, I mean, interrupt you, but the crash can doesn't have some sort of top on it, and it rains all
That's
day.
what I was
And it
thinking.
gets all filled with water, and you try to lift it out,
You'd have to have it perforated at the
Yeah.
bottom so that the water would drain.
but then the only problem with that is they leach it from the.
Well, you couldn't do it with a bag then.
That's just sticking in my head.
I know, this is an issue.
Yeah,
But if we have the lid on it, the trash haulers it's gonna become a problem.
no. That's one of the questions I have. Is there anything else? Any other input? I've got what I needed. I need, you guys are good committed to, right?
What is your thought on your time frame for this?
Well, the next step is to get blueprints. AZAC has offered to work with the blueprints, and we have builders and architects that are willing to step up and try to help us. But we're just trying to decide on the actual build design. We have 3 offers to put them together. We have an Eagle Scout, and we have Johnson School of Technology and the high school. They've all reached out and said this, but I don't know how that's gonna work out, to be honest. So I have to meet with the AZAC. Once I get an idea what we want, I have, we have a meeting next February 8th, next Wednesday. And we're gonna just kind of go from there. We'd like them in by spring. But believe me, we'll tell you not to, we won't tell you to remove them until we're ready with the new ones.
Sure.
So,
And they may even come up with a different design if we eliminate the roof for them, they may even come up, the architects might come up with some other kind of a design that would be great too, so.
I mean, I do have to say, when you go to like the boardwalk and stuff, their cans are open. I don't, so it's done. I don't know. It's definitely gonna be an issue with collecting water, but. it's
Most
done.
garbage cans do not have lids, commercially available ones for that reason. It's because people stuff it in and then it
Mhm.
makes it difficult to remove and it looks not big.
Virginia, what about a flip lid? The lid thrown in, drop the lid down.
No one's gonna flip the lid.
No.
Too hard to do.
Honestly, if I was dealing with a public trash can, I wouldn't want to touch the lid.
Yeah.
Right,
I don't know who's throwing what in there.
It's,
it's
What about
disgusting.
a cupboard that flips open? Is that possible in some type of design?
You mean put the roof on a hinge?
Right, with the roof on a hinge.
Put the roof on the hinge. Okay, that's a good idea, see?
Yeah.
Good idea.
What about at Hillside Park? How is the trash can?
They're the side doors,
Just a side door?
they, just like you're describing, they don't line well, they don't close.
Oh, so similar.
They're the same.
Okay,
Yeah, and the snow plows, don't help them either,
great.
because they whack them and all you need is just a little bit and they're gone.
Okay.
So everybody I've talked to has said, that, for the longevity of the cans, really needs to do top. And I have my contact information on the bottom of your paper, so feel free to reach out to me, and the Rotary Club's email address is on there too, either or.
Thank you.
And we have a meeting tomorrow morning if anybody wants to go. At Color, not tomorrow morning, noon at Color Russo's.
Ooh, oh, Russo's.
They're really good.
Yeah, they're good people, though. They're good people.
Yeah.
Beth, we really appreciate this. We really,
Yeah.
the residents really are, I mean, it's just, it is a symbol in Clark Summit downtown. Hopefully you might consider keeping them blue, do you think? Because I think that's,
Well, blue, or since the material is not, is that plastic stuff, the white might actually be just as good. It won't, discolor, or it'll last longer in just white. I see them, there's similar garbages, down at Disney that are in the same material, and they're white and they don't seem, well, they probably have better, not,
But
you know,
then
but
if
better.
they have a blue roof on them, then that would be the combination too, right? So.
the color of Clark Summit is blue.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, that's, it's silly, but you know,
Okay.
our street signs are blue. We do things in that
Okay.
kind of medium blue. We purposely repainted them the last time in that blue for that reason.
Okay, good to know. Did not know that, so. Anything else that you can think of?
If there's anything you think of, always feel free to give us a call because we're willing to work with you
Yeah.
all the way on this and make sure that any help we can be, we're.
Yeah, Phyllis and I are pretty committed to it. We want this done,
Yeah.
you know, so we're gonna make sure it gets done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is our Griffin Pond Animal Shelter.
Now, Sherry Crowley is here. If you recall, the last time we had a discussion about the request from Griffin Pond to charge $110 per animal. We had asked if there was a way that we could negotiate a flat rate, that we had offered $500 a year regardless, you know, if there was no animals. Ashley, who is the director, said that's not an option. So Sherry is here to talk to you guys about what we're gonna do from here.
I don't really know what the answer is from here. I mean, that would be your decision, but it is $110. That's our policy for any animal that comes through the shelter now. The shelter is on a financial trend that, if we continue on the financial trend that we're on, the shelter won't be there in a couple of years, and then there will be no animal shelter for Lackawanna County for anybody. So that's where we're at right now. Times are really tough. And yeah,
Heard you got a grant though from the county
we
to
did.
200,000.
Yes, great support from the county. They're on board too. They see, you know, what's going on, you know, it's. I can tell you, as of today, we have 254 animals from intake from January 1st of 2023. That's a lot of animals.
Well, you had like 200 rabbits. alone.
192 rabbits from Covington Township, a hoarding case. So that's basically why the flat rate doesn't work. If we get called to a hoarding case, then, you know,
So I,
By the same scenario, though, the
Yeah.
borough, if we had a hoarding case with 192, all of a sudden we get a bill of 110 times 192.
that's exactly my biggest concern.
Right,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't,
It's not, are we gonna get 4 animals in a year or 7 in a year? It's, if we get a hoarding house, are we gonna get a bill? That could, we can't, we couldn't get a bill of several $1,000s and be okay with that. That just doesn't work. When we have a budget.
we
So-
have to do a
no,
balance.
I understand where you guys are coming from, then we just won't come to the hoarding case, you know, like, I don't know what the answer with that would be, and I'm not trying to be difficult,
Sure.
but it's just, you have, you know, when you have 254 animals already from January 1. And, I don't think we've ever had a hoarding case in your area, though, I don't know, I'm not really
think
from
we ever
there.
had one either.
Yeah.
Well, we did have one, but they didn't take the animals. The woman put the animals down rather than letting the
Right.
shelter have them.
Yeah.
Pam's wasn't in it, but wait, how did you arrive at $110?
So the $110, we arrived with that, that's basically what it costs for an animal to come in. That covers the vaccines and to spay and neuter the animal. And then the animal's put up for adoption. So that's like the overhead cost for the animal when it comes in.
And you are a no-kill shelter?
Yes, sir, we're a no-kill shelter.
And then how do you verify which municipality it's coming? When the person brings it in, are they just saying? it's
Your,
from-
your lovely chief of
This-
police,
this
you're
is
helping me out with
Something I've
this.
been addressing with these people because it concerns me greatly because Clark Summit has an address. Just dealt with the child abuse case today. That was actually Scott Township. They had an address at Clark Summit, PA. And we also have another municipality, Clark's Greenboro, which we'd want that separate, you know, but we don't drop any animals off as a police department. You know, up at the shelter. But my concern, we're not, you're not gonna bill us if a resident drops it off, if they do drop it off.
Yes, they are.
If they do drop
Sheriff
it off,
Ashley.
what my concern is, I wanna be told. I want to vet that call, when someone comes up there and says, presents an animal. I wanna be saying, who's this person, where they live, and all that stuff, cause it. Some of your staff up there had 92 animals. I think it was 92 or something, when I saw the number yet. And we never dropped that in a while. And some of what's going on is, some of the animals were in South Abington Township. And there was one particular dog that somebody picked up in Factorville and brought here and presented their driver's license, and they live in Clark Summit, but they found it at the traffic light in
Right.
Clark Summit.
Even if you live in South Abington Township, your driver's license still says Clark Summit.
Correct. So we're using, the website municipality statistics to make sure that that animal that comes in, is going to the right jurisdiction for everybody.
So you are double checking the
Correct.
rest of
It's
them.
actually me cross-checking it. You're
lucky thing
I'm
you.
a chief of police when because I made the error and said, oh, you guys have 23 animals. And I moved here 5 years ago from South Carolina, and you have a separate zip code for every area you live. Nobody
Right.
shares a zip code. Even I was born and raised in Arizona, and nobody shares a zip code. It's all separate. So
Well, that's true.
it was really
Most
hard to
of it,
figure
some
out the
things-
beginning for myself.
Yeah.
In our case, no, because they have one post office serves the whole area, that's why.
Right.
Correct.
Zip code the same.
Yeah.
But, and years ago, I think it was Clarksville, PA, some people have changed to the prop, would say, we'll say like Clark's Green, PA or something, but it still has the same zip code.
Yeah, we could certainly do like a quarterly report to you if you think that that might be
First of all,
helpful.
let me back up. When is payment due? How is payment due?
So we'll typically do, this year it took a little bit longer because I had to use
Right.
that municipality statistics, cross-reference every animal that came into the shelter to make sure that it was going to the proper
Mhm.
way, but we usually would probably send it out in October,
Okay,
somewhere around there.
and then, so it would be one payment a year?
Yep.
Okay, and in October, we'd be billed for the previous calendar year or the previous?
You would be, so if I send you a bill in October, you would be billed for 2023. So it's the past, year. So,
October of this year will be
Correct,
2023,
Yep.
so,
So we'd be getting billed for October 2022, then we'd be getting billed.
no, you get billed from January 1st of 2023 to October of 2023,
okay.
when you got the bill.
Okay. And yeah, reporting, I mean, that would definitely, we need to have some kind of forewarning as to what's
Yeah.
happening.
Can you?
We have a couple of other boroughs or municipalities that want a quarterly report, and we could surely, send that to you. And basically, if there's no animals, we'll just tell you there's no animals that came in from your borough, and
I just want, the thing I'm concerned about too is I just want, these people could make up those stories. They
I
could-
agree.
They could say, somebody lives in Nicholson, brings the cat here, a dog here, and says, we don't have a humane society here, and our borough's not gonna pay for that, so you bring it here and take it up. I want them to write some sort of affidavit, or some sort of paperwork out, saying that, yes, the dog was on my property, yes, that kind of.
But we do have a form that everybody fills out. It's called a stray/surrender form. And they fill that out. But I don't, your point to where people lie, have been people that lie, say, oh, I found this dog here or there, and it comes out, it was actually their dog, they live here instead. We're pretty good at that detective work, and if not, we'll call on you. One of you,
This
for
building
you,
in charge.
Karen, like somebody's saying that they're trying to surrender a dog at this address. so-
On my perspective, I don't know how council feels, I understand we guys need money and we gotta do this. I just don't want borough Clark Summit taxpayers paying for something they should pay for it. If it wasn't Clark Summit Borough and they're doing, and that's why I wanted to vet these things a little bit closer and not just, accept anybody who walks in the door with.
And
So
more
we
than
don't-
that, I don't feel comfortable with the idea of what amounts to a blank check. And I am concerned about the hoarding house situation, because
Yeah.
those things happen. And so has anybody talked to you about a sort of not to exceed kind of understanding where, you know, we're willing to commit to up to X dollars and X animals in a year, and after that won't accept them. I mean, I can't wrap my head around an open line item in the budget that we have no idea what it's. gonna
There's no
be.
way we could financially handle the payment if for 192 rabbits. I don't know how Covington Township's gonna pay you.
I don't know either. I don't really have that answer, but I can take that back to the director and to the board for you.
You know, I'm curious, I'd like to know how they do pay for it.
Well, they haven't gotten the bill yet. doesn't it?
Well, I know, I just, because
I mean, I did give her fair warning, you know, I did call her to say, hey, I just want to let you know that since you guys called us, the police department called us to come to that home and take the 192 rabbits.
My
You
math
will be
is $21,120.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And
And the 110 doesn't even, just so you know, like with the rabbit situation, they're considered exotic animals.
so that's even more.
No, it's
Okay.
not, but I'm just trying to let you know that a rabbit is considered an exotic animal, and to spay and neuter a rabbit is anywhere from $250 to $650 here in this area. And not that you guys would be charged, we're eating that cost, but
Right,
yeah.
and I appreciate all that you do there extremely to the most, but there are a lot of what ifs on our end, so.
No, I understand. Not everybody's gonna be on board, and we understand that too, and that's.
At what point, okay,
I was gonna say, as you're taking an animal from Clark Summit, is Virginia immediately getting notified? So we keep track, so that way when we do get our invoice, we can cross-reference with what numbers we have to make sure it matches what you have? Or is it just kind of, you can only update her quarterly with the numbers? That's my concern.
I could try, I'm not probably going
I
to
imagine
be,
we
you know,
don't
that's,
have
I
that
mean,
many
that's,
coming from Clark Summit where it should be in a exuberant amount to keep track of.
Our numbers,
I think
our
it's a
department
low
line
number.
was very low, I think it was 3 or 4 last year.
I was
Yep.
just gonna ask
it was
that.
4 total last year. It was 1 from the police department and then 3 from,
2 were Clark's Green. But that's the other issue, like, just because Clark's
Yeah.
Green, so they need to go Clark's Green Borough.
yeah, no, I went through it. I think I sent you the,
I'm not sure what they're gonna do up there, I haven't discussed.
yeah.
so let me ask you this. To charge Clark Summit, does the police department call and Griffin Pond Shelter and you send somebody down to Clark Summit and then take the animals out? Or I'm sure our police department doesn't throw the dog in the car or in the car and take them up to you.
Yes, they do.
They do, yes.
Yeah,
They
they
do their night,
They
so
do.
after hours, yeah, they have our, they will call the 911 dispatch center to see if we have open kennel space or not, and we update the 911 center daily to let them know if we have space or not, and if so, then they get the code to the night drop area to open the door and
Yeah,
place the
we've done
animal.
it before. And I don't wanna do it,
Yeah,
but I just have concerns, just making sure that
We're paying for.
we pay for our residents and
No, I
pay for legitimate
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
And that is so important, you won't believe how.
no, I believe me, I know.
You ask somebody if they bring it out, like, let's say hypothetically that my kid lives in New York or something like that, they get into move to a part where they can't have a dog, they give the dog back to mom and dad. Mom and dad don't like the dog, dog's misbehaving. Mom and dad could say it was just a stray and drop it off at the Humane Society or Griffin Pond or.
Maybe, it would depend on, you know, the scenario. I mean, if they said that it was their son's dog from New York, we would probably tell them, where did you get the dog? He said he got it in New York. We would say probably take the dog back to New York.
I mean, there's a lot of
To
scenarios.
a shelter up there.
I just,
Yeah.
someone may take advantage of it and.
No, I'm sure that there are gonna be some people out there. Yeah,
And what happens,
If it-
what if
I'm
they say
sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
what if you say, if you deny the dog, what happens next? I mean, it's just people can take it to the vet to be euthanized, that's.
Exactly, yeah,
If,
their option.
if a dog is running loose He could have a collar on him, he might not have a collar on him, but he could also be chipped.
Right.
Does
Right.
any of that, do they check any of that?
People come up all the time and say, oh, I found this dog. Can you just check to see if it's microchipped? I'll keep it, you know, or I'll house the animal until, you know, the owners contact me.
Yeah. We've
So
had
are we gonna
incidents
be,
like that.
would we be charged for everyone that was dropped there? Even if it was the dog that had a chip in it and the owner
No, you
came the
wouldn't be
next day?
charged for that at
So
all.
it's just for the
It's
ones
just
that
for
are
the-
kept?
yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
The ones that are returned, you're not, yeah. not sure.
What is Scranton? Because I don't know, if they have like,
They pay $110 per animal.
oh, okay, so I thought they were paying, it's a flat rate, so.
Yeah, no, they pay 110. The contract is 110 per animal. It's in line with Luzerne County too. Luzerne has the same kind of
I think,
scenario with their boroughs and municipalities.
I think, you know, it'd be okay as long as we have a hoarding case, and that's where.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the only concern.
Right.
I mean, I could talk to Ashley. I mean, we do a lot of fundraising, which I'm sure you guys see a lot of that.
Sure, sure.
So we try to help off cost some of that, but I could surely talk to her about that.
Is there a way that we can also bind the hoarder to help recoup some of the costs?
Yeah, I mean, if we have a nuisance ordinance or something like
We
that.
do, but the fine, I would want the fine proportional, you know, I mean, we don't wanna, the nuisance ordinance is 25, 50, and 100.
Can you add it?
But if there's 100 animals, $100 is not gonna,
Yeah, because it's like leaning against a homeowner or we have like a.
Yeah.
yeah.
Could you do that? Yeah, maybe that might.
So we're
work,
gonna
like,
need to,
cost
we need to
that.
amend our ordinance
Very
to
good.
reflect that.
That would help in the-
You know, has there been a warning?
Yes.
Yes,
There has.
Oh, there has.
yes, they did,
And you already know how that ended, so I don't think we would really accomplish very much with that.
in that particular case, the homeowner decided to euthanize every one of the animals rather than turn it into the shelter, turn them into the shelter. It was
Yeah.
awful.
It was horrible,
It was horrible.
and that's the type of people you're gonna be dealing with, whether you pass an ordinance or not. This is what you're gonna be dealing with.
Right.
Well, can we put in the ordinance that it would have to relinquish over, or no, that doesn't, that isn't our call to make? Instead of having 100 animals just euthanize unnecessarily.
Well, I think let's let Mary Claire look into this and then we can discuss it at our work session, how we want to deal with that.
Here's another thing I talked to the other chiefs, they thought about doing is that maybe we can buy a cage for those, put it in our garage or someplace like that for a day or two. And maybe that would save from, maybe if we could identify the
Yeah.
dog itself before we bring it up there, but I don't wanna
That's a
do
great
this too
idea.
long. No, because I mean, it's hard for our guys to make sure the dog would be in a cage.
Yeah,
every day,
no, I
whatever.
get it, yeah. Wouldn't be out
Maybe,
walking or,
maybe 12,
surfing
24 hours or something.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of times we have these, of course, they would get billed, you recall last, summer, two dogs that ran across at the school,
Right.
West Elementary School. And they were
They're not.
tiny little dogs, who were cute, you know, they're playing with kids, but, you know, I dropped them off, and that was one of the two of the 8 dogs that are on my report that I dropped off. But I guess in that case, the owner was found, right? So you
Correct,
bill the
yeah.
owner, not us.
Yeah.
Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah, so if the owner came to say, oh, you found my dogs, they would pay a fee to return their dogs. After 24 hours. So if they come within 24 hours, they can get the dog back because we have to pay for their vaccines the minute that they walk in. To make sure that they don't have anything that could be passed on to the other animals inside the shelter.
Right, and I think that's a correct way to do it too, you know, that it's the responsibility of the pet owner to take care of the financial end of it. You know?
Yeah, we've done it for free for a really long time. And
Yeah.
now it's just, you know, to a point where we just can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think what I'd like to see from your and is anything that comes with a bill should have some details. Date, time, person to drop it off, you know.
I just did that for R12. I did the date, the time, who brought it in. Was it a cat or a dog?
You know, it is, we gotta vet.
And
this.
who brought it,
I don't want, I'll make sure, that's my concern, vetting.
And like the
Sure
rails.
we don't get malicious.
Yeah.
Make sure we don't get billed for something that's not ours, that's what concerns me.
Exactly, yeah.
Mary Claire was going to say something.
Well, I think there probably would be significantly more comfort if we could explore the option of capping, not necessarily that we cap. That we won't give them, but that there's only so many animals accepted before there's some sort of notice or a call or something like that. So I think that's something we would want to explore, like up to whatever
As
the
the
number is, the
$100.
council will discuss. And anything beyond that, that
And
it
Ashley
triggers
says
a
that's
call.
fine. If we get past a certain point, you won't take them.
We won't, yep,
So
we have a
that's
running
up to
list
us to
in
notify
the
them.
receiving room of like what municipalities we're accepting animals from.
Right.
So,
Up to certain numbers. They
yep,
have
so if you paid like 500, we would only accept 5 animals from this borough.
And then what happens if it's not, the animal's not accepted?
The person will have to figure that out on their own.
So-
You know, contact other rescues, other shelters outside of the area.
So right now, we have 4 spots, we can, I think we paid.
Yeah.
Well, did we pay for 2022?
Yep,
Okay,
yeah,
so we haven't paid anything. In October, you will bill us for what we have for
2023, yes, ma'am.
2023. So we're
Yes.
not prepaid anything. Except actually, we are technically, because we gave 500 in the hopes that you would settle on
Okay.
a flat rate.
I didn't see that, yeah,
Yeah, so we have a $60 credit,
okay.
unless council just wants to.
We had $60.
It's 2022 budget.
Right. And it's our taxpayers' money.
That would give me more comfort if we had a limit on what we are willing to pay, and then it can come back to council. We can decide to up that if we want to, but at least we're doing everything with our eyes wide open.
That's okay, the only concern I would have is that if we do get a dog and we're over the limit.
Right.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it.
Right.
Well, actually, I'm pretty excited.
It's our less of an issue. It's a hoarding one. So if we knew we were close to a line and then there's a hoarding situation, we need to be warned on that. But my concern too is that if we do a fine based on the number of animals in the hoarding situation, is there a case law that will protect us? Or is there a case law that will say, no, we can't, that's getting unreasonable? So if you could look into that.
I will,
for us,
I don't know the
wanna
answer.
be sure. Whatever we do, I want to know that it's going to work.
What do you do if a person's requires something, brought a dog and it's nice found it, and you got it right in the factory, but you just don't take the dogs in? Or if you build back your borough, I don't.
We would build back to the.
That, you know, has happened. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it actually happens a fair amount of it here.
Yeah.
Sometimes they pick up the dog, you know, over the border someplace in Milton Township or near South Abington line or something that's running loose,
Yeah,
you know, and they try to, well, and then bring it up there and then they say it's, I don't think we should get billed if the dog is running loose in another municipality. You know, it's
there's,
Or, you know, the taxpayers here. This actually should be a county problem. The county should address this and fund you guys properly on an annual basis.
yeah, I mean, we've ran, like I said, we've ran strictly on donations and
Yeah.
fundraising for a really long time. Yeah,
It's frustrating because it's all you seem to be doing is doing fundraising.
it is, it's
And I get it.
exhausting.
And it's, but I just think, that's just my thought. I always think like, they have a library tax. Like, can't they have some sort of
That's-
a line item budget?
Well, so part of that grant that we got today from the county, the chief financial officer is gonna be sitting on our board. And so maybe that'll be helpful on our end where he has, like, if we do this or do that, you know, or I'm not a chief financial officer. Just a fundraising director. Any other questions?
No, thank you so much.
Oh,
Thanks for all you
Thank
do.
you, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
My Lucy's home just came from there last year, so thank you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aw, my dog's from there too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is to approval of our agenda. We have a motion to.
A motion to approve the agenda.
Right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. On the question, all in favor? All opposed? Favors have it 7-0. Next is the approval of the minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Frank. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ronnie. On the question, all in favor? All opposed? Favors have it 7-0. The next is our public comment and input.
Council
Hi.
and President, which I got to speak with. I just want to say, what a beautiful ice festival we just had.
Oh,
It was, Mother Nature smiled on us to give us the
absolutely.
excellent weather and clean roads, and it made it so nice. It was just so great, and can't think of the name of the theater director who ran it this year.
Katie Lott.
Katie Lane. She
Yeah.
did such a great job. It was so good, like I was all the way down Depot Street and it was all the way down into the Pocket Park, and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like things down there, and it was just really enjoyable. Ran as
Thank you.
long as I could. But it gave me some ideas as I was walking around. There's 3 that I have, but I can only remember 2 at the moment. But one of them I talked to Jerry about was there's a space in between the 2 buildings, which is the new Welsh shop and the clothing store, and then there's a fitness center on the other side. So there's a little space in between there, which, I have tendency to say like a pocket park. But I'm just talking to, I try to get a hold of Stephen Young to see if he owns, I don't know where the property line is. I don't know if the lady that owns the Welsh shop building owns that space, but it was a little messy. There was like a wooden door that had fallen over a fence or something, and there's a planter, and I'm always kind of going by and like picking up garbage, and it was kind of like really a mess, like. So we propped up the wooden fence. It's just like about the size of this twice.
Right,
That's
yeah.
it. And it just goes back in between the 2 buildings. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cute if you could just level it, throw some white gravel there, and maybe put like a bench or 2, because the Welsh shop, I stopped in there, they can't have, they don't have a license, a permit for indoor seating, because they don't have a handicap accessible ramp. So they can't, like, you can't get like your hot chocolate and your Welsh cookies and like sit anywhere. So next door now is the fitness center. It's not, Duffy's anymore, so you don't really like go in there. So I thought was, can we improve that little space?
If
Down
I don't own the
between.
property though, we can't.
Well, yeah, so I reached out to Stephen Young and to see, like, I'm trying to find out like who owns it and just run that by. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can sell it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You'd have to talk to the owners.
Yeah, so I'm trying to reach out and find out, because I put a request and talk to the woman, I can't think of her name right now, I'm like totally drawing a blank. But that was just one idea I had, because it's just a little more usable space in Clark Summit that
Sure.
puts people like right in the summit, and it's like just a little outdoor space that goes along to the back of the building. And actually, I don't think you can go all the way back behind, so it's not like a safety issue, even like they have children down there, but it's just something I was kind of working on to, to add more places where people could just.
Just
sit
bring
in the
that
summer.
up to the owner of the property. I'm sure they've worked with you on that though.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to see. And I just had another thought that I'm trying to see about doing a marker. The state of Pennsylvania does historical markers that they could put around, and we had a very famous race car driver that lived here who was known internationally, Oscar Kowaleski. And I am actually asking in the talks with his family and the state of Pennsylvania to get a historical marker put here in Clark Summit to honor Oscar Kowaleski. He lived in the house behind the library. That was where him and Elaine, his wife, lived.
The library, like, West Coast, the
yeah.
new library, not the old library.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, so he ran the Can-Am series, and which means that's the Canadian American race car series. He ran up at Watkins Glen and Pocono Raceway. He did Kid Racer, which I know we had down here at the
Yeah.
firehouse, and he was teaching children safety at the age of 3 or 5 or 7 about wearing a seatbelt and using your blinkers and looking both ways. And so he really enveloped it, and he just passed away about 1.5 years ago. His wife Elaine, I think she's in Linden Street apartment. She moved out. They finally just sold the house, which will always be the Kowaleski house. But just want to try to develop that. I don't know where they would put the marker. Maybe the library or would want to donate a little parcel of land. I would love to just see a tribute to him. It would be super beneficial for Clark Summit because he's internationally known. And that would be just such a nice thing to do for us, but for the family. He gave so much. He got licensing to take that kid racer to every, track across the country practically, where he could have it. I don't know what happened to the legacy of the kid racer teaching. He had a little prototype cars, the kids got in. But if you want to just kind of wrap your head around that a little bit and
We'll
think
look
of
into it and see,
something.
put our heads together and see what we can
Yeah,
do. Working with the library.
or on the Veterans Memorial Park, I thought might be, just some even more central location where people would definitely see it, but I just feel that we have something here
Sure.
that would be something to celebrate as a community, and just be a
Sure.
really nice thing to be, to add to our
We
community.
can certainly look into it and see what we can come up with,
Yeah.
and we'll keep you posted. on it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that maybe it's here from a different fund because there's everybody knows we have the feral cat problem that's in town.
Sure.
I'd like to talk to them a little bit more and just see, because I try to trap and I take the animals up and I get them, I take them actually down a Naog through the street cats and I do the spay neuter down there when I can find them and try to feed them and keep them alive. But I'm not a hoarder. I do rescue cats, but I'm not a hoarder. I run between about, 4 or 6 cats, but I'm happy to say that my oldest is 18. She's totally deaf, but she doesn't know it. And I just adopted one from Glenburn who just followed me into my car one day when I was out gardening at my church. And I just said, okay, you're just one more. But it's nice to see communities that understand what that situation is with these animals, because sometimes they never get to a shelter, they never get found.
Sure.
You see them out wandering around, and I just think it's super critical for townships and boroughs and what have you to be aware that that situation is going on. And
Oh, sure.
yeah, and I know that I know one hoarding situation that was pretty local that was here that went on, and with the cat situation.
Yeah.
And how sad that can be. And it's a shame that you can't say, all right, if you're gonna live in Clark Summit, you can only have, 5 animals or what have you. Of course, you can't tell people that, but
Sure.
for the safety of the community. But that was very interesting what she said. So thank you all. Those were my recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll keep you posted on it.
Yes, and I'll get you the information as soon as I hear back from the state. The deadline actually for the state was November to apply. And I was trying to get hold of the family. I want them to be involved.
Sure.
So we can petition, I can, submit that again.
Okay.
And then the business owners with that little stripper, just to do something where it could get improved.
Yeah,
would
we
look
can check
really
with them and see what they want to do there.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jenny.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item is our police report.
If I could just jump in real quick.
Sure.
Just because it's the first of the month and everything was rushing right to the end of the day. And then I found out that Joe was going to meet me here at 6 o'clock, so I wasn't free. I rushed to get the packets done. I copied the police report before Chris had verified it. There is one last thing on the last page of the police report under special details, add crisis intervention training. That Chris didn't have an opportunity to add that before I copied it.
Officer Kaiser, that's something that our insurance company and everybody encourages us to go with de-escalation, dealing with mental patients. So Officer Kaiser will become another CIP officer, and next week it's a 40-hour class and we took that. I don't know, I every time I meet with the chiefs, it's one of those things everybody keeps pushing to send to the class. So even our insurance carrier said we should be sending people to the CIP class, So we send them to it and we've done with that. Yeah, we have a lot of training this month, as you can see. A couple things. First of all, I had a professor up at Parkland University that reached out to me, and he wanted to know if he could have his students to do a 25-hour internship right along with the officers. I don't know, we've done it, but it's been a long time. And I always worry about liability reasons and so forth like that, but I was just gonna wait out for council how they feel about it.
Have you heard anything from the insurance company? Or
I haven't got that far with it, no. I mean, he actually just reached out to me yesterday about it. He wants to do internships for a degree of 25 hours. right along. I don't know how Mary Claire feels about it, but. Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's impossible. I think we'd have to explore that. for
that's
sure.
what
In terms
I
of certain parameters for insurance.
see, reach out, I see if any other departments are doing that. The concern I have is, you know, they could get on a car and hit by a car, liability wise. So, you know, I kind of like, I don't know,
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, but, you know,
Right, yeah.
but maybe if I can explore for one more month, then come back with the idea and what I come up with and see what other places.
Chief, I'm
Other
happy to
towns have
explore
done it.
that with you. I think it's
I
worth
don't know.
looking into, but there's definitely some concern. So we would just.
I actually recommended that he tries the DA's office, that you can do follow an assistant attorney today and for
Right.
time, and that's pretty silly. Something like that. Well, I'll look at this. I mean, it's not like you're out on the street, in the middle of the night and going to med.
Right.
Right, right.
You know,
And I know the problem we had in the past, when we did do this was, there was concern about privacy issues, people, their kids getting in trouble and, you know, now I have somebody listening to this whole thing. Well, that's,
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it for it, but I just threw that out there. And how many about next meeting, I'll say something if I, whatever. We got the, you know, as we all know, we got the $28,000 grant for the new computers, they're in the cars. They put them in last week, they're all here running, so that's nice. So that's really nice system, you know, so much easier for everybody in the cars. Aggressive driving grant, I'm still waiting we got the grant, but I don't have dates, like when we're gonna do the next project. They don't usually go to anyway,
Yeah.
it's probably like March or something, but they're kind of slow getting the dates out this year. So, and the final thing I wanted to point out here was, in the budget this year, we have budgeted to buy new handguns for the department. The handguns that we have, they need to be cycled out after a period of time from wearing them on your belt, weather, and so forth. And they recommend about every 8 or 9 years. So we got the money to do it. It's already budgeted in the budget. But a lot of departments, including the state police, Grant and South Abington did. A lot of departments allow, the trade-in option, trade-in our handguns with this manufacturer, the 6-hour. The old handguns were gonna give us $325 a piece. So the officers want to know if they could purchase these are handguns for the same amount of money, would save on shipping and handling, when you ship and handle it out to the EPS. And the way it works, we've done this before, so just so you know, we have done this before. Is we go to a dealer, a firearms dealer, and we take the guns up there. And he does the legal transfer all over, so there's no issues with that. And then the officer would have to present a check for that money to the borough, to be $325 is what he would do. So I just wanted to get approval from council before we did that.
Yeah,
I have no problem with it.
I don't either. really.
Usually these guns are the same gun they've been carrying for years and years. If you get assigned a gun, you have the same one, you qualify with it. And I guess they can come attached to it in some way, because with them all the time. They're just, you know, $100. So
They're all qualified, they've been using this gun. And instead of trading it in, if the trade-in value is $325, I don't see any reason that they not be able to buy it.
well, like I stated, the state police do this all the time.
Yeah.
And they would have, and they always grant police do it, does it. I don't know too many departments that they haven't done, actually. As long as done, if we did for Bob, he retired. So what we, like I said, the way we do it, so the borough is free from any kind of problems, is we take it to a dealer, gun dealer, but we have gun owners in this case, Archibald, and he would hold on to them, do the proper transfer paperwork, then he would have.
We need a motion on that?
I don't know, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that our police department purchase the gun for $325.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ronnie. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. 0.
keep us looking, I guess there's overtime was kind of big this month, and I also noticed, I guess one of the part-timers seems to be working a lot of hours. Officer Shaw.
Well, some of it has to do with, with the officer with the 80 hours at the class, 40-hour class. And I'm supposed to get reimbursed for that. From the, what do we call it, the people that do the mental health. Thing. So that was part of it, and there was other training involved, the ice festival cost overtime. You know,
Yeah, so this is.
and then we had, and I was way on vacation, some people were on vacation, but I see going down in February, it just kind of ebbs and flows, and, you know, I'm trying to do the best here, you know.
The ice festival is usually in February, right? So that
It used to be, yes.
that
Yeah,
would
that
show up
was
in
January.
January.
This is for January 31st.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that makes some sense. That would be.
So I mean, we had guys for spray detail and things like that. You know? So that's. I hope that helps. I was looked at it too, as kind of, I didn't expect that, but I think it was just a lot of. You know, with one officer gone away for school for a week, which. You know, I thought it was a great opportunity to go. We were here, it was right here in Jacksonville in class, which is usually far away.
I know they are.
That's so cool. Then we had Officer Lucas and went to also I think I mean we went to Vasco School on the Williamsport. And we every year we have to make a run to New Jersey for ammunition, because that's where we get it from. So that's another, you know, problem too, you know.
Yeah.
Are you able to give any update on the officer that is returning to the schedule or might be returning to the schedule?
He's done with his first aid CPR. He's done with his dates, I believe. I have some questions for Mopac because the only thing he's got, he hasn't qualified with his firearm. He's not getting his firearm back from the sheriff's department until February 7th or something like that. So he's not gonna work till he's done. And then I don't understand once he qualifies if the state's go with him. Because it may force him to take in his 2023 updates. But I don't know how that works because he wasn't qualified last year. They want him up to date completely. That makes sense? Or not? So I waited and I looked at it yesterday and it still says, one of the things he was supposed to take was control tactic with one of the classes in Dunmore, but it's not showing up on his Mopac website. Why it's not showing up there, the instructor or whoever did that didn't submit it or something, I don't know. So that's my update. And when he's done with all that stuff, and when he gets to the fire range and qualifies, I want him to read the entire policy manual from front to back and acknowledge it. So I don't see him really doing a million hours until almost into March, the way it's looking. You know what I mean? So that's kind of it. So I'm just waiting. But that he's got to take, it says control pad. He told me he took it, but it's not on the Mopac website. He said he took a place in Dunmore, the Dunmore place, but I don't see it on there. So I didn't ask him about it honestly yet, you know, but I also knew that February 7th was an important date because he's, you know, moved to the fire back. And that's so I'll do this, if you don't mind, I could email everybody with updates as it goes along. I could do it that way. That may be a better way of handling for personnel reasons. And I'll CC the player. I know he took on Friday, he got first aid CPR, he passed that. Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions before the mayor excuses our chief, but before he leaves, we would like him to pull our winning ticket for
Oh, geez. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
What an honor.
I can't.
Oh, okay. The last
I
one.
forgot it.
I didn't find it.
Never five. The bottle of it.
Right, it's an Irish whiskey and ginger beer instead of our ginger. And it's the brass cups, or copper cups, but it's.
Okay,
There you are.
There you go.
All right. Okay.
There you are.
This is Barry.
The jury?
Josh. Nick. God.
Thank you, Ross.
There you go.
Oh, my gosh, there you go.
Well done, Chief.
Good pull, Chief, good pull.
There you go.
All right.
So the chief will be dismissed. No other questions then?
Nope.
All right then. Okay, as you were.
It worked out
Thanks, Chris.
perfect. We'll all have to come over and have.
That's my meeting on Monday.
All right, the next item on our agenda is our bids and quotes. We have the Grove Street,
Manhole project. I sent you guys an email. It's an emergency that came up. The one weekend, the manhole lid was popped, and when they went out there, they found that it's actually sinking. And in fact, it's two manholes right next to two in a line that are in really bad shape, and it could be an incredible hazard. So we really need to get it.
We didn't do it already, or?
No, we did. I need to get this approved, and we did also work with the low bidder. He said that what we're doing is we're gonna hold out as long as we can in the hopes that we could do the repair with the good materials in the spring. But we
Yeah.
need them to be on call to respond immediately if the situation changes.
Sure.
So that's what we've Pioneer is willing to do it. They are, because the bids came in excess of the amount that I was allowed to do telephonic bidding on. We were gonna scrap them both, and Pioneer came back and said, we'll lower ours to that level.
They're responsible. Have we done work with them before, or?
Yes,
Oh,
Pioneer has done a lot of work for us over the years, so I have no complaints with them.
it's beautiful.
So if we could just have a motion to,
And if we can hold off till after March, that would be great.
yeah, the DPW is checking it daily. And yeah, if anything had changed, I would have done it and made this a ratification, but
Sure.
since we're trying to hold out and it's been stable so far.
Good.
I'll make a motion to contract with Pioneer to do the two manhole covers on Grove Street.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Ronnie on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Favors have it 7-0. Our next item is our treasurer's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Josh. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Kathleen.
Kathleen, okay.
Okay, on the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Favors have it 7-0. Next item is our vendor payments to be paid. Do we have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Frank. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ronnie. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Favors have it 7-0. Under old business, our sewer report, we don't have our Jen with us tonight,
No.
so.
Jen explains in her report that she missed a bit of work in January due to a health issue that turned a little bit more serious than was
Yeah.
anticipated. She is back to work, but she's still not 100%. So obviously she didn't have the opportunity to get the delinquent billing done in January that she promised. She will get on that as soon as possible. We have we post payments, a lot of posted payments were posted late because they were due on the 20th and she was out of the office at that point. But they are they're 99% caught up at this point. So the report's a little different than normal, but it is all being taken care of.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the sewer report.
I don't think we need to this way.
Okay.
Hope she feels better.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, and the next is our police regionalization. How's that going, Josh?
Really no update there. It's, I just have not had much time to spend on it. I hope to have a more substantive update next month.
That's fine.
As an FYI, there's going to be an article about it in the Times Leader or the
Yeah.
Times Tribune. I'm not sure what date yet, but I know that
Soon.
Josh and I have been contacted by Christine Lee for data on it.
Oh, good, okay. All right, the next is the ordinance 2020-04 zoning.
Just an update on the SAPA. In today's paper, Scranton met last night. And they have a group of citizens that are really fighting one thing, and they have CMC Hospital fighting another issue in there. And they're trying, it's gonna be tabled for a few more months.
Yeah.
Dix or Dunmore won't do anything until Scranton does it. So like everybody's in line to vote, except that they're getting this pressure from the two groups and they're hesitant to act. So,
Just have to exercise their
Yeah.
patience there, I guess,
yeah.
you know, so. Okay, thank you, Virginia.
Mhm.
Next is the Junction Avenue, the remover of the one-way sign.
Right, we were requested by Tom Senafont to remove that. We tabled it while we advertised it on the agenda to give residents an opportunity to produce feedback and heard nothing.
Okay, so that we can then remove the,
There's no law, no ordinance enforcing it, so it's not enforceable. So
right,
Guess we'll take it down.
I don't even think we need a motion to take it down. I just want to make sure everybody's kind of good with it.
that's fine.
Okay.
Then our heart and lung claim.
So an executive session was held earlier and based on discussion that was had, I believe it's now right for council to vote on whether or not to authorize heart and lung benefits for Officer Williams. I would note that council's vote, if you vote in favor of it, would be contingent on the approval of the workers' comp judge. And also, you would be giving permission to Attorney O'Brien to sort of tie up any loose ends associated with this and work out any details which would be associated with the benefits.
Okay. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the heart and lung under the contingent that our solicitor has addressed?
I'll make that a motion.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Favors have it 7-0. Thank you. Under new business, resolution 2023-01, our PennDOT traffic signal.
PennDOT sent us an agreement that we need to sign. We need we need to pass a resolution authorizing Jerry to sign this agreement. It's with regards to the traffic signal at in front of Dunkin' Donuts, that intersection right there.
Right.
As you know, signals on state roads are regulated by the state, but they're owned by the community. So the state tells us what our obligations are, and
Right.
But
we say, yes, sir.
Right.
And but is the design and installation of the project be funded entirely by the federal government, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania?
It's already done and it has been, yes.
So it won't be any money out of
No.
our budget.
No. So we need a motion and to authorize Jerry, or motion for the resolution.
I make a
I'll make
motion.
that a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
Very
Dave.
good.
On the question, all in favor?
I,
Aye.
Our hazardous mitigation plan.
Okay, and this is Lackawanna County has a hazard mitigation plan that they've coordinated with Luzerne County, so it's a double one. We need to agree to it or buy into it, you might say. So I sent you all the information. I'm hoping that we can get Jerry's authorization to sign the agreement to cooperate with this 5-year plan.
So do we have a motion to approve of our hazardous mitigation.
I make a motion to allow, Chairwoman Carey to sign and authorize the memorandum of agreement for 2026 hazard mitigation plan update.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have 2 seconds there.
Kathleen's got it.
We'll give it
Okay.
to you. On the question, all in favor? All opposed? Favors have it 7-0. Next is resolution 2023-02, our records description.
Yeah, we're running out of room for the treasurer's information, so we, as we've done in the past, we only keep so far back. We're asking that older stuff, be destroyed. What happens is we take the documents to Diamond K and the DPW witnesses while they shred them, so that we know that it's being taken care of properly. But I need council's approval.
We've done this before. This
Yes.
is-
And there's no requirement, we keep them for a certain number of years or.
We are in excess of that
Oh, we're past
requirement.
that.
So these are like, I 7 years and we've got 8 years and we're asking for like 9 years in that, to go.
Right,
Perfect. That's all.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2023-02.
okay, thank you, Josh. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Frank. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
All Favors have it 7-0. And the next is our trash contract.
Trash contract is expiring at the end of this month. Therefore, we need to get a new one in place. Mascara will continue to extend it for a couple of months while we're working on this. But they are not willing to go beyond that because their costs have gone up so significantly.
Exactly.
But doesn't this look like we have 2 optional 1-year options? that
They
we can
needed to
simply
be
elect to?
exercised in advance with at least 60 days notice, and they weren't.
Yeah.
So we're expecting that if we bid this out in several months, our cost is going to go up.
Well.
Are we voting on this today?
We need to just get a committee together to do the prepare the bid.
Okay.
Do we have a standing committee on that topic?
Not for trash.
And I think Councilman Williams, I know, was involved with this before. so-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it didn't, it wasn't it a 5-year contract we ended up with?
No, we have 3-year contract with the 2 options.
Okay. that was
Yeah,
it,
and I don't know
yeah.
why. It's funny. Sam Augustine from Mascara and I were both saying, geez, we both thought we'd done the 5-year, but the paperwork says.
So we just forgot to exercise the option. So now we got to rebid the whole project to everybody.
Yes. I have the template, we've done this. We used a contractor to prepare the bid 10 years ago, I think it was. Jerry, you'll remember we had that grant writer to do it.
Yeah.
So now I have the template. We used it the last time with the bid, so we can just, I can do 90% of the work. The issue is the discussion as to what kind of options do we want, how many years? Do we want full service? Do we want to stay with every other week recycling? Those kind of decisions the committee really needs to
Right.
prepare so that we know what we're asking for in the bid.
Is 5 years the max we can do?
We had one, when I started here, we were in a 7-year one.
I think we did, was it 3 and 5 last time?
Right. What happened the last time was the 7-year, we did really well. And the price for the new one was so much higher than what we were paying that I think we thought we were hoping that it might come down a little bit. Unfortunately, it's worse.
So that's taught us that we probably should go for the long one then. I mean, you can never really tell, but
Yeah, we should probably do 2 options.
Yep.
Whether it's 3 and 5 or 5 and 7, whatever you guys want to do, but we should probably do 2 options with term. And then we need to decide what we want to ask for. And that's why I thought a committee would be the good one to sit down and talk through
We
this.
have a recycling committee.
That all took place right when I started, and I kind of remember the only change was the recycling pickup, I believe, was a great
No, I think,
change,
at
right?
one time, we used to take garbage every week, and then we changed it.
And that was
to
the big
alternate
Garbage is every week, recycling is every other week.
Other week.
The other
Yeah,
change
I
is that we
remember
only
that's the
take one
change.
bulk item a week as opposed to unlimited every week.
Okay,
Which, by the way, we haven't really had anybody
hasn't been
call
an
in
issue.
complaining about that, so,
that was right when I started. I remember
Yeah.
that just being
yeah,
a change, and that I think was the only change
yeah.
I have, it-
from
I can
like
see
the
that.
original.
So Mascaro hasn't given us their quote of how much it'll be now yet.
No,
This
until
is
we
just
tell them
update
what terms we want, they can't give us
They
a
can't
price.
give us, they're waiting for us to
Right,
do what we
and we
need.
have to advertise it and get bids from other companies. Unfortunately, one of the things to consider is as long as we're keeping an unlimited service, we're limiting the people that will bid it. For example, the company that does the automated with the machines, they're not going to be able to take bulk items or unlimited trash. So that immediately eliminates them from the bid. So again, this is why I wanted to sit down with the committee and talk options and try to
Right.
come through with what we think is the most reasonable.
I think that's probably one thing the residents will want to keep though is the unlimited.
Mhm.
It'll be the one thing where if you say it's no longer unlimited, it's gonna be an issue.
It has been in the past.
I know
Instead of-
Green went with, county waste.
They're the ones
and-
with
And they
the-
provided the
The
trash
bins,
can, but it got. It really didn't work for them
right,
financially. A lot
Right.
of people, the residents were complaining,
right.
so they ended up, I believe. When their contract was up, are they back with Mascara?
I have no
Another
clue.
thing we can also look into is, I know South Abington uses Mascara. And if we can kind of get the other communities to all pull together, I think we might be.
If their
able-
terms are up, I can ask.
Yeah, I mean, this is just something we'd like to look in, like, working with the other communities on it.
Does our contract with Scarrow, has it already expired or? is it-
The end of the month.
February 28th.
February.
Mhm.
Do we need to put something on paper with them to extend this for a couple of months, or are they just doing this as a gentleman's agreement?
Sam just said he would give us 3 months. So at this point, he didn't say anything about
So-
anything in writing, except if you guys want me to get it in writing from him, I can certainly ask.
So we really need to get this bid process done quickly, because the people are gonna need time to explore how much they want to bid on
Right.
it. And
Right.
Truly, I think that the biggest thing is just making those decisions. Once we have them, I think I could put the bid specs together very quickly. And I think if we give at least 3 weeks for companies, I think that would be sufficient time. So we really could have something for like the March work session to open up at the March work sessions and vote on at the April meeting.
we could just use the same specifications we used last time too, correct?
If we want, we can stay with 3 years, 5 years, and the same options that with recycling and trash that we did.
Did Sam give any hint as far as the percentage that it might go up?
It'll be.
Sam's comment was that they're losing money right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
The
sure it is.
contract we're under.
I remember the last contract when I was here, we were in a, it was a big surprise.
Well, but based on that comment, we realistically, we're gonna have to consider some changes to service, or else we're gonna blow our budget out of,
Yeah.
blow out our budget here. So I think we probably need to ask for some additional options relating to bulk. I don't know what the options are. I'm not an expert in this area, but we can't just bid out the same specs. It's gonna destroy our budget.
Right, so
It'd
could
be
we,
less for the-
Virginia, where we give them what we're looking for, but they also give us different packages that other municipalities use, so we have an idea. of
We have to
prices?
have a bid that's apples to apples. We have to be very specific what we're bidding and give multiple services the opportunity to bid on the same specs. So if we get different offers, then, it's not competitive.
Okay, so it has to be very black and white, this is what we're looking for, this is what the bids are gonna be for.
Now, South Abington, as Carol bills them. I believe it's quarterly, is it?
No, South Abington does not pay for Mascaro. South Abington residents are billed
That's
directly.
what I mean.
Oh, yeah, they're billed directly. Now,
For
the,
garbage,
Huh?
Yeah.
They're billed directly
Oh,
for
yeah.
the garbage removal.
Right, we could, that is an option too. Thing that you need to know is that the cost per household is gonna be significantly higher if Mascara is doing the billing as opposed to us collecting it in there. So the net impact, the short-term impact is our taxes can go down if we take them out of the bid. You know, take them out of the general fund and have them billed directly to the residents. But the residents are gonna end up long-term paying more because Mascara loses money on the billing and the uncollected and so forth.
Right. And can you even do that, because the new year has started, so we could technically just say you're now getting billed directly?
We nearly had.
That,
I don't know how much warning we have to give our
I
residents.
feel like that just seems very abrupt.
When we had
Well-
a meeting, when we discussed this, Virginia.
Right.
Yeah, a ton of residents came in,
Complaining.
they did not want private billing on it. They wanted it in their tax base, that's where we have it.
In the tax base, the dollar amount is controlled and it's a tax write-off for them.
Right.
If they're billed
Well, then
directly,
we
they
should
they
at
lose
least
both
consider that
benefits.
We were.
But trash is what, this new contract will probably make this the highest line item in our budget. Right now, the police and this are competitive.
Right.
So, and we are at 29.5 mils. So until and unless the assessment is completed, we're kind of stuck. So there's like I said, it's not, so I don't think we can hash this out tonight. I really think we need
Right,
to.
it will be discussed. I will
Right.
personally say, I don't think one topic that shouldn't be discussed is billing residents directly. I don't think that should be a consideration, to be
And
honest.
obviously Jerry feels that
On
way
this
too.
committee,
Oh, yeah.
At all.
I know that they're
right,
happy with that.
Do you need a committee, Virginia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
So-
in our tax base too, we list, what we give to the fire department.
There is, the state tells you what funds are available and they do not have a trash fund. So the state says that we can pull street light and we can bill that as a separate fund. So we could say general fund 29.5 mils and a half mil for street lighting, for example.
Sure.
But we can't do that with trash. So the states, there are certain things that you can do with debt service. You can, the fire company, we are doing it. The sewer, obviously, we're doing it. There are a couple of library fund, there's a few, but the
Right,
state
yeah.
is very specific about what we can and can't pull out as separate
Yeah.
village.
And I assume we budgeted for the prior year contract for the garbage, so. Okay.
If all
We-
the benefits stayed the same with the scale and the police contract, DPW contract, and everything else going up, somewhere we have to bite the bullet. I hate to say it, but
You do have,
what
Right.
option, if
A lot
you
of
pull
contracts.
benefits from the garbage,
right,
you're gonna have people lined up
we
here.
now have 5 full-time officers instead of 4.
We got 5.
So that was a commitment that we made that's
Well,
Josh
okay,
warned
but,
us was gonna cost us.
okay, but that commitment was supposed to be taken care of. We were promised. I'm not gonna get into it.
It's still coming through though, Frank.
Well,
Yeah,
But that
okay.
only buys us 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
right, yeah.
well, I'd like to see the 2 or 3 years money now. So
Yeah, oh, yeah.
a promise is a promise.
Two things, the good news. I'm sorry, the good news is that if that came through this year, it's not budgeted for, therefore, that's a bonus that help us. The other thing is the heart and lung retroactive back to June. We will be reimbursed the majority of the payroll
Yeah.
since June for that person.
Right.
Therefore, we have another lump sum coming in that we didn't budget for, and we budgeted for 5 full-time, and we're only gonna be paying for 4. So you have some wiggle
Yeah.
room with money.
I think though. When we put the specifications together for what this bid looks like, we have to consider lower service levels and request bids on those. So that we can so that we have options and we can decide what it is
Yeah,
we want to do.
right.
Yeah, the big thing is we need to remember we're 29.5 mils and state law is 30.
Right.
without going to court. We could always go to court and ask for more, but we'd have to go to court and hope the judge sided with us.
Right.
We don't do that.
So we need the committee, and then realistically, Virginia, what is our deadline to actually have a definitive contract with someone? Do we
Like I
have
said,
to-
it's theoretically, we can probably have the bid specs ready and start advertising it within the next couple of weeks. I don't see any reason why within 2 weeks I can't have it unless we really hit a lot of stumbling blocks as far as, wanting to do something and it's not an option,
So you need an answer for who's gonna be on the committee tonight then, right? We're probably
That's
just
what I
go
thought,
over-
because I'd
Okay,
like to get us meeting ASAP.
Okay,
But Ryan, we want to make sure like they can have like a pre-bid meeting so that sometimes if people, they won't bid unless they have an opportunity to know what they're getting
Right.
into. Because they're gonna have to put down bonds, they're gonna have to, like, if they enter into put a bid in, it's like they have to comply and be able to do the job.
they don't wanna go online.
They don't want to go in blind.
Right, so we would advertise it, we put a date in for pre-bid, mandatory or not mandatory, that's a decision that we make, to have them come
We want to
in.
try to get as many bids as possible, so that there's more options, so it just would be.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of callers, though.
I know,
There's
that's
not a
so,
lot of.
Really,
It's not a
I was gonna
long.
say
list.
there's
really,
probably
we had
many.
3 people that were potential bidders the last time and only 2 that actually bid.
And if
Right,
you could,
yeah.
could we get in some writing that they are willing to give us 3 months grace period, so
Oh,
it's
that's
not on
good, sure.
February 28th.
okay, well,
Committee?
The committee,
I'll be on the committee, and do we have any other volunteers that would?
I will as well. We just want to make it just a finance
Great,
committee
yeah,
thing. That's where it's gonna come.
Oh,
back to.
okay. All right, that sounds good. Okay, great. We'll set up, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow about setting a date and time to talk.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Virginia.
Okay.
And next is our solicitors report.
I don't have anything that we haven't discussed already, but there are a number of things that came up with Griffin Pond that I think I need to dive into. So I'll provide a memo to council once I look into some of those in terms of Kathy and in terms of recouping the fees in the event of
Yeah.
hoarding situation, and so that way we'll be a little bit better.
and then do
Okay.
we have access to see what other municipalities are doing, if they're capping as well, or if it's just a blank check there, right? I mean.
It's still kind of new, so I'm sure other municipalities are in the same situation as us,
Yeah,
but we
they
can
are.
ask around.
Prior to now, it wasn't the 110 per annum.
Right. Filled it all.
Okay.
This is brand new.
But I can explore what other municipalities are, to the extent that any of them are settled on it.
Yeah.
See what anyone else is doing, and then I'll try to.
Yeah, I think the hoarding one was our biggest one. Mary
I
and.
think that's a
Now,
serious concern.
what is the thought process with like, there's all fundraising for Griffin Pond, you're constantly getting envelopes, whatever. Like if we, is that allowed to send an envelope out from us to
Asking for
make,
donations.
I mean, we have so many animal lovers in the area. On
So
behalf of Clark Summit, or is
You
that
would
not
say
allowed?
asking for donations to the borough to cover the cost of
I don't know.
animals being dropped there. Because if the donations went to Griffin Pond, it wouldn't help us.
Right, but I mean, like to cover Clark Summit, is that an option in any way, or is that not allowed?
That's a great idea. I like.
Yeah.
Because
Like
people
Clark Summit
donate
Animal Fund or
anyway,
something.
but the Clark Summit.
Terry does a great job selling
Yeah.
tickets. She could be a good one to help us with this.
That's how these survive is
At least,
donations,
at least it would have
fundraising,
to
so.
be done to that.
Yeah, I mean, the cost, they're hypothetical, which is the hardest part.
Right.
But then we,
But
it's
it's
like the
certainly
net
worth
days
exploring.
almost to work off of. We would
Yeah,
almost have a
right.
credit, basically. She would
Mhm.
say theoretically, hey, you have 300 in the credit right now,
Right.
so
Yeah,
technically you
that's
have
what we're
three
doing.
off.
If it's
Yeah.
an option, because just the thought of them, like he said,
Turning
what would I
them-
do with an animal if we were at our limit? So. It's a thought.
I almost think-
Webpage maybe even, or something to get the word out there that.
I mean, I always think we need an ordinance that allows us to bill any resident that takes any animal in, period. I wonder if that,
Even if they just
Exact.
found them.
Well, if the residents take the animal in and it's theirs, they do pay. So the question is when they drop off a stray.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they
Then
usually
that they have to
identify it as a
pay.
stray,
Right.
even if it's theirs. Now, in a case, for example, like a hoarding case, there could be criminal charges with that. Costs associated with that would be pushed back on the defendant in a criminal case, but I
Right.
can't speak to every scenario because I'm sure there's scenarios where it wouldn't be criminal.
Josh,
Yeah.
were you saying that in the
Let's
ordinance
find
you
out.
want a resident to be charged even if they find a stray?
I don't, I'm curious what other municipalities do. If they
Yeah.
have any such
Only because
ordinances.
I understand that it's technically not their responsibility. Stray, they're trying to do the right thing. I don't want to deter people from taking stray animals off the street either. So now, once you know you're getting charged, you're gonna leave it there.
But that, the problem is if it's somebody that's turning in their animal, they're half the time lying and saying it's a stray anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
She said there is a vetting process for that though, but I.
Right, but as long as they stand to their guns, what's Griffin Pond gonna say? I don't believe you, I'm gonna make a payment?
Right.
Yeah, but I'll explore what other municipalities are
Yeah.
doing and
Yeah.
then look into that idea.
Yeah.
It's a balance. I want to, obviously, people that are being honest and just turning in animals that are, they genuinely found on the street. I don't want them to be held financially liable, but I also don't want people abusing it where they're just relinquishing their own pet as well, and we're getting literally charged.
One other thing to keep in mind though is that although the court can have the defendant pay our costs, I know that the court works with people for these cases where the
It's not
payment
coming
literally
fast.
could be 5, 10, 15 a month.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's
Yeah.
something, those payments aren't coming in
Yeah,
quickly.
Right,
yeah.
it's a very.
So it's still an issue that we're gonna have to figure out.
Now, out of the animals, Virginia, that they have, my only question is, out of the over 200 animals they have so far for January 1st, do we know how many of those are actually Park Summit?
I don't know.
It didn't sound like any.
I don't think there's any from Clark Summit.
Okay.
No.
So pretty much we're not in it. The only concern we'll have is a hoarding issue, because it seems like.
Yeah, on a regular basis, there's a handful a year. So if we budgeted 500, that would cover us 90% of the time.
Yeah, and it sounds like most situations, it ends up the chief bringing the animal, correct? Like.
Right.
3 out of 4
Right,
the
yeah.
last time.
She was just having difficulty differentiating between Clark Summit, Clark's Green, South Abington.
But no, we ended up with 4 after we
We got
got
all that,
qualified.
okay.
Yeah, the original bill said something like 92 animals in Clark Summit. So we went from like 92 or 72 to 4.
Right, which I think will help
Yeah.
with that way when she's
Yeah.
giving it to you in live time, so we can trace it in live time and not in October get some random bill.
Yeah, to be fair, Ashley and Sherry got an earful from Chris and I. We both kind of went nuts on about that.
That makes a
And they
big
worked with
difference.
us on.
Well, that's a huge discrepancy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, well, I'll follow up with everybody and what I
Thank you.
dig into with the animal loss.
Can I ask one more question, going back to the trash contract? I mean, I'm looking over this contract again and again and again. Is this the entire agreement, what we have in our packet?
Mhm.
Because I don't see any requirement in here to give 60-day notice. It simply says plus 2 additional 1-year options at the discretion of the borough. Nowhere does it say 60-day notice is required.
There's a copy in the packet. Do you want to take that and look at it and get an opinion to us as soon as you can? Sure. Okay.
Maybe there may be a paragraph including the bid, like requirements or something.
So that's what I'm curious about is can we double check that and make sure?
Well, I can certainly get a copy of the bid specs to you guys too.
But even, I mean. Does this? Unless the contract explicitly states that it incorporates the provisions of the bid, those are not part of it. So I guess I would ask if you can look at this and see if, I mean, if I'm reading this correctly and it doesn't say it anywhere else, it's at our discretion. We're still within, this is not expired until February 28th, 2023. If we, at our discretion, want to opt into that year, I don't see what's precluding us from doing that right now.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Okay.
And see, I mean, yeah.
No,
that could be
So we
Definitely
can,
worth
the best option. if-
so we can
if it is.
potentially still opt in.
So,
We're gonna find out.
Okay,
We'll find out from Mary Claire.
Okay. All right, well, you can let Josh and I know, Virginia, and we'll. Thank you.
okay.
And Bob.
Okay, and the next is, the
That's kinda like low
correspondence
there.
from
Right, clearly they got together because these two people both sent an email the same day with the same issue.
Yeah, yeah.
So obviously they both, but regardless, it is true, there is triangle at Waverly and Columbia that, they're saying is a concern,
Yeah.
with the yield versus the stop. If we did put a stop sign in, it would have to be done by ordinance and we'd have to do a traffic study first. So I need approval from council to do the traffic study. If the traffic study justifies it, then we would have to start working on the ordinance. So I need you guys to know, do you want to pursue this or not?
We-
Was
we
Chris
haven't
going
had
to take
any.
was Chris taking a look at that?
He said he would. He never came back to me with anything.
So what's the need for this stop sign and traffic? It's,
These two residents are saying that the yield it's not sufficient for the
People are
traffic.
just blowing through it.
Right. Now, I am not aware of any routine accidents in that
Yeah,
intersection.
that's what I was gonna say. there's
Right.
never been any
I don't
issues
know,
there.
the traffic study might say that it's not required or that we can't even do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what PennDOT says, before you could put up something like that, you have to do a study to justify it.
Can you ask Chris tomorrow to take a look
Yes.
at it before we start a study?
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Who would do the study, Virginia, on this thing?
the engineers.
Okay. So we'd have Bob Nagley do that then?
It would actually be Sue Savitsky from his office. She's the
Okay.
traffic flow
Okay.
engineer.
yeah, Chris could take a look at it and we could hear his opinion if he thinks.
Yeah,
it's
I would
necessary.
He was
So
talking
too.
to me last week, so hopefully he has an answer and we just hasn't gotten it yet.
Maybe he hasn't really come back from Jamaica yet.
Yeah, exactly.
The sun, I think he's still in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Okay, so executive sessions prior. We have one immediately preceding our meeting today. During and subsequent. And our next item is, who would like to adjourn?
I'm motioning we adjourn.
Very good. You've done right on.
Good enough, and thank you.
Can I just say something? Just with the Griffin Pond thing, have you talked to the Scranton Area Foundation? Because the Area Foundation has a whole animal segment fund thing that they're doing, so it's not, the thing that's proposed is actually being done across the country where there's individual towns and boroughs that are setting up an animal care fund for their residents to help with that, so that's not anything that's unusual, but the Scranton Area Foundation actually it's into that, with, has I've been to some seminars down there that they've had. So I would just talk to them. And I don't like to donate the dog cage. I have extra cages of that, so I'm gonna have to do that. But I have done stuff where I have blankets and I have some hardware. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, let me know because I need to check some of them. I can always get. Like, these little things, I'm always trying to find them. Like,
Big day.
Yeah, luckily there's some solid. I mean, there's one more.
I mean, yeah. Well, I'm a resident, yeah, and I, like, I'm a resident.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're not asking for.
Jay, we're gonna, now, okay.
Of you and I.
Good, they're well being.
I was
Yeah.
pitching, you know, I guess he's.
Yeah.
He's definitely got his. But he was telling me about this.
Virginia, is the meeting over?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right,
Right.
very good, thank you.
Bye.